Dude, get out of here. What the hell was that? As you can see, that's not how a tyre is meant to look. I may as well just abort a MUX. If I don't outdrive you on something this trip, wasting my time. Living well, I've been selling the things I brought through, and if y'all don't know the name, then believe me that you about to. That's because we got a patrol, mate. And the other car, it takes 6 days. Proudly supported by Outback Equipment, Tread, and in part by Welcome back to day 2 of our adventure. After a wet and rainy night out in Newnes State Forest, we packed up camp and headed off to hit the tracks. The first track of the day being the infamous Wombat Holes. First little warm-up track of the day, whatever you want to call it, is the Wombat Holes next to the quarry here at Lithgow. Just on the edge of the road, really, just these massive ruts and stuff that have been created over time. One thing I'm noticing with the Patrol is it loves to lean. So when there's banks around you, you just got to be careful, and I'm learning to drive it a bit different, pick those slightly different lines, just to keep it off those banks and avoid damaging it. Super fun little track here to test out the capabilities of your full drive. I tried to get up out of this section with no lockers in, but it just maxed out on its flex there, so I chucked the rear locker in and it was up and out of there.
Yeah, you're going, go.
Up that last bit. I had to put that rear locker in to get through that last bit. I wouldn't have it without a locker. Fun little drive. Now we had a mate, Luke, join us just for the day to hit up a few tracks together. He was up next in his twin-locked Holden Colorado. Yeah, that's that same rear diff problem. Dad was up next in his Isuzu MUX, which just has the rear locker. He was the third and final car to have a crack, and of course he just stands back, watches everyone else has a go, and then just picks a line and smashes his way easily through the hot obstacle. That's everyone up the first bit of the Wombat Holes track, and then you drive a couple 100 meters and you hit the second bit, which is another fun little bit of track. This one's a little bit different, a bit more rocky, this one. I was talking to Luke about, and he was saying, like, having been out on the tracks with Patrols a fair bit, like they are a leany car with the coil springs around the big wagon, like they want to lean into banks and stuff. It's just that, you know, it's just sort of what they do.
It may be, but no, I've never had.
Do I want any lockers in?
Let's try rear first if you want. It'll flex you out, so let's go up. Right.
The last section here would be the most fun bit, probably the most challenging, but it was good to test out the flex and capabilities on the Patrol. couple of goes and I was up. Now for some reason I thought it'd be a good idea to chuck a right and just head straight up the wall out of this section of track, even though you meant to go straight ahead, and ended up getting myself in a little bit of a predicament.
Oh, no, back corner. Come forward. Go right, just crawl it. Straighten up, straighten up. He's on the rear bumper. You're up and you're back off. He's on the rear bumper.
Am I jammed now?
Yeah. I think you're proper stuck, dude. Because the issue is we'll be able to go back, but the back's sit across and it's sitting on a rock.
Yeah, what to bust that rear bar. I made that main bit of the climb up over that rock all good, and then I went to sort of climb a weird angle out of this hole here just for a bit of excitement, and then sort of lifted a big wheel and I backed off and then went back into the bank and then got all jammed up in there. So now I can't go backwards and I can't go forwards, so I can't reposition the car in any way, shape, form at all, so I'm just going to have to winch out of this.
Luke was up next in Colorado. He had a few cracks at some various lines, but he just kept getting hung up on that step, and he was starting to put a fair bit of load on that front end. So rather than risking snapping a CV or a steering arm, he decided to grab the winch out to pop him up over that section. The MUX was up next, and Dad was keen to see if he could conquer this section of track without needing to use the winch. The biggest issue with this section of track is if you go too far to the passenger side, you just end up colliding with the bank. But if you go too far driver's side, you end up landing on your slider and just sitting on your belly there and pivoting around. So you've got to try and find that perfect balance of that middle line. A little bit of rock packing and manoeuvring him around, and we managed to successfully get him up that rock step there. That's all of us up that second bit of the track there. A fair few people sort of coming and going, so you end up with a little bit of a crowd at times. It's coming up lunch now, so we're actually going to do a cool walk. I think it's a deep pass walk or something, but through this little creek and caves and that out here. So we sort of spent a lot of time yesterday in the car and mucking around with all those breakages, and not breakages, but that tyre and stuff. So I thought we'd go a bit of lunch now maybe, and then do that walk, something a bit different, and then maybe do another track or two after that, depending on the time, and find a camp again. Just had a little bit of lunch here in this nice open area, sort of out the back of the Newnes State Forest, a little creek there. We're trying to get to this walk. I think the walk is actually on that creek. It's only about a K down there. And we just sort of came in the way, followed the maps. But then this way, turns out, was all cruisy as, like two-wheel drive. And then just hit this massive monster, like 2 big steps up there. And the issue being it's wet. Now, Luke and I sort of looked to like, I'll probably just go back and scoot around the long way, because like once you're up there, you're only a few hundred meters from that walk, whereas the long way is maybe 7 or 8 Ks around the trails. But Dad came and looked at it, he's like, oh, I reckon we could drive it. So I'm like, okay, well if you want to try it. So Dad's coming up first to see what happens on this massive step. Hey?
That's right. It's slippery.
Dad was not keen to back down, had multiple goes at this step, but in the end had to accept defeat. It was just too slippery out there and he was getting riskier and riskier of breaking something or getting himself into a bad situation. After Dad's attempt, I figured I better still have a go in the Patrol as it has the bigger tyres, the front locker and more suspension travel.
Alright, I'm gonna have a little crack in the Patrol now and see what happens. A bit nervous about it though.
That's close to going. Yeah. You're up.
You reckon hit that step a little bit harder? There's that slip. Yeah, I just sort of let that fall back down. I reckon that's a no-go. Yeah, I think it's getting worse by every attempt. It gets a bit slipperier. Yeah. So I reckon we are a long way around. Alright, long way it is, but we had to go at least, and yeah, it's very wet and slippery. Maybe that's just something we'll come back and try in the dry at some point. So we're going to hightail it, long way around, should maybe half hour or so. Take on that walk. Let's get it. Also, I just had a thought, if you're wondering why we didn't winch, it was because there was another big step behind that first one, which can't drive the first one. Well, I don't know, then the next step was going to be, you know, do you drive or winch the next step too? So it's going to be a possibility of 2 winches, 3 vehicles. You're talking a couple of hours, and then we're going to miss out on this walk today because by that time it's going to be too late to do it. Whereas if we just hightail it around now, we'll still have time to do the walk today. This is so cool. We're just beginning this canyon walk, I think it's called, at Deep Pass. So last time in Lithgow we did the River Caves walk and we absolutely loved that. And then my mate Shad had told me about this one, which is the canyon walk, which is, he reckons, is even cooler. So we've got some backpacks, some water, towel, board shorts, and yeah, apparently you walk up through this canyon here, so pretty keen. I just got the GoPro because he said don't take your big camera because you got to do a bit of rope climbing and up waterfalls and stuff.
Well, now that my shoes are wet, I might as well.
Just send it, boys. Whoa, how cool is this spot? Damn, son. Guy's like, so what do you mean about climbing up waterfalls? And then I'm like, yeah, right here. And he's like, oh.
Well, like, if they're like, so what, if we fall, then we just die.
Oh no, you wouldn't die, just slip into the water a bit. So cool in here, look at that, just a waterfall coming to a super deep hole. So then to get around it, you gotta go up this rope here. So looks like Kai's going first. And just keep holding on with both hands at all time, and then even if your feet slip, you're holding on, so you're good. You'll be right. Hold that rope tight and get your feet up on this bit. Yep, that's it. Keep going. Yep, that's it. And then next bit and you're just about up. You will see your light flash before your eyes.
Oh my god, my legs are like shaking.
Are they?
It was.
But you're pretty scared.
Yeah.
Oh, that's alright. You still did it, so you overcome your fears. Wow. What a spot, eh?
Yeah, you think this would be a favourite summer hole, this one.
Yeah. Another waterfall. So awesome out here. I love these sorts of places. I can hold your hand at some point if you want. It's like waterfall after waterfall, and there's big deep holes, like you stand in shallow water and then there's a massive hole under the waterfall. The rock wall is closing around you through this bit, and it's a tight gap through there, and it's very deep in there as well. So it looks like they set ropes up and tied logs along it so you can walk along the, hold the ropes, walk along the logs.
Like this rope is gonna break.
So you definitely have to walk through the water on this walk. So there's no avoiding it. Probably up to about knee deep is the deepest you've had to actually go through. Blown away, just amazing place to be on a Saturday afternoon. Probably any afternoon would be amazing out here, to be honest. I love the four-wheel driving, coming on these four-wheel drive trips, but it's good to mix it up, do stuff like this too, and sort of get you out of the car and really enjoy it. Another waterfall. This one's a pretty fun little one. You got to walk up the log up the side of the waterfall holding onto the ropes. Easy, boys. Made it to the end of the walk, so we came out from the creek there. So obviously we walked upstream on the walk. You can walk downstream if you want. We passed two people that were going downstream, but I reckon upstream would be better. And then here's the track up the side of the hill here, back up to the car, a few hundred meters up there. So Dad's in having a swim now, and I'm going to have a swim too, so we'll cool down, freshen up before we go back. Well, forget taking the shirt off. Well. Alright, swim done. Time to head up out of here and then go find camp, I reckon. Been a pretty good day out. Does this look familiar to you, Kai? No. Remember before we went for the walk? We tried to get up them?
Oh yeah.
But now we're going down them, so it'll be easy. But this is the quicker way. We're back at these steps. We couldn't get up earlier after lunch because like that is a very big steep one. So that's the top one, and then that's the bottom one down there. You can see our tyre marks and that from earlier. But yeah, it'll be fine coming down. Probably actually be quite scary, to be honest, coming down that, and it's a bit wet and slippery. But yeah, we're just nice and slow, and just you want to like center line it down and not get yourself on any weird angles. So if it slips, then you're just slipping straight downwards. But yeah, we're going to come back this way because it's we think there might be a couple of camps in there somewhere, we're hoping. Just obviously leave some gap here because there may be a bit of slipping and sliding. Okay, here we go. I do enjoy having auto for this stuff. Makes it better because obviously your engine compression is still happening. A lot easier going down than up anyway. Much easier going down than up, just a little bit scary.
a bit of a runaway.
Fairly steep hill, that one, bit of a slippery dip there at the
and
top.
You're coming onto it on that angle.
Yeah. So Luke and Adam have gone home. They just came out for a day drive, but we're back down this creek now where we had lunch. And as I said, this is the one we walked on earlier. It's kind of the start of it. Yeah, we'll see if we can find ourselves a spot here somewhere. Found ourselves a camp spot just over the creek here. No one around. Where we sort of are, like, this is out the back of Newnes State Forest and not really as many people around here. Sun's coming in as well. We're going to get the fire going out here somewhere and we'll set our awnings and swags up and should be a nice spot. That's our camp's just about all set up. Dad's got his awning up and I got mine over there too. Got our swags on our stretchers. Dad hasn't set his bed up yet, but we've just been sort of relaxing here by the fire. This factory rear bumper bar's definitely taken some damage, and these lights, you probably see on the footage, these lights keep popping out. I probably need to zippy tie them on or something because all the mounts for them are broken now, but I do have a new rear bar at home which will go on after this trip, I'd say. After this trip, putting an exhaust and snorkel on, like the day after I get back, I think. And then I'll work out a time to do the rear bar as well. Which will be good because it'll, yeah, obviously protect the rear end because I'm just smashing it to pieces. The spare tyre's just in the boot there, which takes up like a third of my boot space, so that's going to go on the rear bar. You can actually mount a 35 on this door. Just puts a lot of pressure on it, but I know people do it. You get a spacer or something for that bracket and just space it out a bit, but yeah, I just didn't worry because I got the rear bar, which is Outback Accessories one, and it suits a 35-inch tyre, and then I'll have a dual water or fuel jerry can holder on the other side. First trip running a fridge in this, which has been unreal though. So it's the Drifter Stockton one. It's 62 litre, I believe it is, nice and big, so we can fit heaps of food in there for a week away. Up until then I was just running the Esky, which an Esky's alright. Well, it's not too bad, gets you through a couple of nights, but on a week trip, like, they become painful. They just become painful trying to keep you know, food cold, and then your ice melts, and fridge is much better. So this is a dual zone one. It's got a fridge and a freezer in it, but I'm just running the whole thing as a fridge, and yeah, there's nice big compartments in there. So that's been really good. First trip using it. Seems to be running all good. It's doing its job as a fridge should. And I don't have a dual battery system yet either. That's going in soon. Getting like a just sort of a basic-ish one. 100 amp hour lithium with a DC and then a little inverter. Just to run the fridge. Might do a few lights around here and just to charge my camera gear. That's doing what I do. You need some decent sort of power and dual battery setup to charge camera gear. So for this trip, now I didn't buy this, they just lent it to me, battery boxes thing. So that's like a 40 amp hour lithium in there. So that's how I'm running the fridge. So that's my fridge, plugged into that. When I drive, I plug that in there and it charges it while we're driving. Just off the cigarette lighter there. And then I can charge a bit of USB stuff, and it's got a inverter in it there. There's lots of different varieties of those battery boxes out there now, but I reckon they're the go for people that, you know, don't want to do a proper dual battery system and just want something that'll last them when they're doing the trip here and there. You know, you get something like that. I think they're like $900 or something. Going to cook up a little bit of a lentil vegetable soup tonight. It's been pretty cool out here. Like, these places always catch you out in the mountains, out, you know, Blue Mountains, high country, all that, even in summertime, and you still just end up shivering out here and never bring enough warmth. So figured we'd warm up with a nice soup tonight, and pretty quick and easy to cook. Only take like 20 minutes or so. Some diced up red onion in there. I've just turned that saucepan on. I'm just going to cook it up in like a big saucepan thing, and then I'm going to dice some capsicum now. Dice up some carrot to go in there as well. Some zucchini in. I think that's all our veggies. We'll just soften them up a bit more. Those veggies soften up a little bit. I'm going to put a couple of stock cubes in there. Tin of diced tomatoes. A couple of tins of lentils. Add some water in there. Let that simmer through for about maybe 10 minutes, then it'll be ready. Soup's ready. Nice warm dinner. So that's us for the night. Sit down here and relax and don't know, whatever else you do at camp, and then check back in tomorrow. Back again the next day. Didn't really film anything this morning because he woke up in the bloody rain again. This rain moved back in. So pretty much packed up camp and then we're making our way out of here. We've just been coming along this main road, but there is this little side track that we thought we'll give a go before we head on out of here, and then the plan is to drop down in Lithgow and head further west, try to get away from this weather, out Sunny Corner maybe or something.
When it lifted, I thought I'm going to sit front and through it.
There was pretty rugged angles on that. He tried to get that high line just because there's a big hole there. I don't think you can climb that hole. I think you're going to struggle climbing that tree root.
I believe you. I believe you. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go up there.
I don't think so. Oh well. We were wrong there. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just try this other one, something different. I don't know, it's probably worse to be honest, but I'll try this one. So I had a crack at the other line, but it didn't go too well for me. It just got slushier and slushier in there, and those holes were swallowing the patrol hole.
The first other line didn't work when we turned to a slush pit, so I'm just gonna do this one. Same one Dad did. Much easier. Got a big step here to launch up, which I'm not sure how it's gonna go. Oh, plenty of grip still, even in the wet.
Dad gave the rock step a nice nudge with his bull bar there, but made it up all easy. One more little obstacle and we were out of there and making our way towards Sunny Corner State Forest.
Catch a visual, I'm warm, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm a reconcile born, so ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to form 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is something. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that y'all. Here we go.
I'ma show you who I am unbreakable. I don't think you understand. Watch me escape.
Gonna cook up a little bit of a red onion, diced up red onion in there. Yeah.
Whoa! Oh God!
We threw to them arenas. Menu that's for dinner or the ring of 5 fingers. And the difference that's between us, read it written in subpoenas. So in other words, the game that need us, we just reinvigorated. Little agitated, had to get them activated. No kind of